Oakwood High wasn't just your average school. It had a reputation for things going bump in the night. And let me tell you, it wasn't just the creaky floorboards or the flickering lights. No, there was something far more sinister lurking in the shadows. It was a typical Tuesday evening, and I found myself stuck in the security room, tasked with reviewing the footage from the night before. The school's security system had been acting up lately, glitching and flickering like nobody's business. But what I saw on those screens, well, it still gives me chills just thinking about it. As I scanned through the footage, my eyes caught glimpses of something moving in the darkness, a shadowy figure darting in and out of view like a ghost haunting the halls. At first, I brushed it off as a trick of the light, a glitch in the system. But as the nights went by, the figure grew bolder, creeping closer and closer to the cameras with each passing night. I tried to convince myself it was just a prank, some kid playing dress-up and trying to spook the security guards. But deep down, I knew there was something far more sinister at play. The figure moved with purpose, its movements fluid and deliberate, as if it knew every inch of the school like the back of its hand. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that unseen eyes followed my every move from the shadows. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, and a cold sweat broke out across my brow as I continued to monitor the footage, searching for answers in the darkness. But the more I watched, the more I realized that the figure wasn't just some prankster looking for a cheap thrill. No, it was something far more malevolent, something that hungered for more than just scares and screams in the night. As the days turned into weeks, the atmosphere at Oakwood High grew tense, an undercurrent of fear rippling through the halls like an electric current. Students whispered tales of the shadowy figure, swapping stories of its whispered footsteps and glowing eyes. But the adults, they brushed it off as nothing more than teenage hysteria, a case of overactive imaginations running wild. They refused to acknowledge the truth staring them right in the face, blind to the danger lurking just beyond the walls of the school. I knew I had to take matters into my own hands to confront the darkness head-on and uncover the truth behind the haunting of Oakwood High. Armed with nothing but determination and a flashlight, I ventured into the depths of the school, my heart pounding in my chest as I braced for what lay ahead. The halls were silent, eerily so, as if the very walls were holding their breath in anticipation. Every shadow seemed to conceal a lurking threat, every creak of the floorboards a warning of impending danger. But I pressed on, guided by the faint glow of the security cameras that lined the corridors like silent sentinels. And then, just as I rounded a corner, I saw it. The figure, standing before me like a specter of the night, its eyes burning with an otherworldly light. I froze, my breath catching in my throat as the figure stepped forward, its movements fluid and graceful. There was something hypnotic about the way it moved, something primal and ancient that stirred a primal fear deep within my soul. And then, with a voice that seemed to echo from the depths of the abyss, it spoke, words that sent shivers down my spine and chilled me to the bone. It spoke of darkness and despair, of souls lost and forgotten in the depths of time. I wanted to run, to flee from the nightmare unfolding before me, but something held me in place, rooted to the spot like a deer caught in the headlights. I could feel its gaze boring into me, piercing through the layers of my defenses until I was laid bare before it. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the figure vanished into the darkness, leaving me alone in the empty corridors of Oakwood High. I stumbled out into the night, shaken but alive, haunted by the memory of that encounter for years to come. But the shadows lingered, lurking just beyond the edge of my vision, a constant reminder that some secrets were never meant to be uncovered, and some horrors never meant to be faced. And as I looked back at the school, bathed in the pale light of the moon, I couldn't help but wonder what other terrors lurked within its hallowed halls. In the heart of the small town of Oak Ridge stood the old, weather-beaten Oak Ridge High School, a place where mysteries whispered in the shadows and secrets lurked in every corner. I was just an ordinary student, navigating the treacherous waters of high school life until one fateful day when I stumbled upon a chilling revelation that would plunge me into the depths of fear and uncertainty. It was a typical Tuesday afternoon, and I had ducked into the bathroom to escape the monotony of algebra class. As I stood in front of the mirror contemplating my reflection, something caught my eye, a series of words etched into the foggy surface. Curiosity piqued. I leaned in closer to read the message. Sarah Jenkins, 12-3. My heart skipped a beat as I tried to make sense of the cryptic message. Sarah Jenkins was a junior, just like me, and her name was scrawled across the mirror in jagged letters as if written in haste. But what chilled me to the bone was the date, 12/03, the same date Sarah had gone missing last year. I shook my head, trying to dispel the rising unease gnawing at my insides. Maybe it was just a cruel prank, a tasteless joke orchestrated by some bored teenager with too much time on their hands. But deep down, I knew there was something more sinister at play. As the days passed, more messages began to appear on the bathroom mirrors, each one detailing a student's name and a date. The dates coincided with the disappearances that had plagued the school for years. Jessica Miller, 0517, Michael Chang, 921, Emily Watson, 1108. The list went on, a grim reminder of the souls lost to the shadows. Whispers of fear rippled through the halls as students exchanged nervous glances and muttered theories about the messages. Some dismissed them as urban legends, mere figments of overactive imaginations. But others, like me, couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister lurked beneath the surface. Determined to uncover the truth, I embarked on a quest to unravel the mystery shrouding Oak Ridge High School. I spent hours poring over old yearbooks in the dusty archives, searching for clues hidden in the pages of history. I interviewed classmates and teachers, piecing together fragments of information like a detective unraveling a complex puzzle. But the more I delved into the darkness, the more I realized that some secrets were meant to stay buried. There were whispers of a curse that had plagued the school for generations, a malevolent force that hungered for the souls of the innocent. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that unseen eyes followed my every move from the shadows. Paranoia gnawed at my sanity, driving me to the brink of madness as I struggled to make sense of the chaos unraveling around me. Then, one stormy night, as lightning split the sky and thunder rumbled like the growl of a hungry beast, I stumbled upon a hidden passage concealed behind a crumbling wall in the basement. With trembling hands, I brushed away the layers of dust and cobwebs, revealing a staircase that descended into the darkness below. Heart pounding in my chest, I descended into the depths of the unknown, guided by a primal instinct that urged me forward. The air grew colder with each step, thick with the scent of decay and ancient secrets long forgotten. At the bottom of the staircase, I found myself in a labyrinth of corridors, the walls lined with faded photographs and yellowed newspaper clippings. They told a story of tragedy and loss, of students who had vanished without a trace, their faces frozen in time like ghosts of the past. And then, in the heart of the maze, I found it. A chamber bathed in an eerie glow, its walls adorned with symbols of darkness and despair. In the center of the room stood a figure cloaked in shadow, its eyes gleaming like coals in the darkness. I recoiled in horror as the figure turned towards me, its voice a whisper that echoed in the depths of my mind. It spoke of ancient curses and forbidden knowledge, of sacrifices made in the name of power and control. I tried to flee, but invisible tendrils ensnared me, holding me captive in their grasp. The figure drew closer, its presence suffocating like a shroud of darkness closing around me. And then, with a flash of blinding light, the chamber erupted in flames, consuming everything in its path. I screamed as the inferno consumed me, the flames licking at my skin like the tongues of a vengeful god. And in that moment of agony and despair, I knew that Oak Ridge High School held secrets far darker than I could ever imagine. Secrets that would haunt me for eternity, trapped forever in the depths of the cursed halls. It all started on a dreary afternoon during one of those dreaded lockdown drills at school. You know the ones, they make you feel like you're trapped in a horror movie, except it's real life, and there's no escaping. So, there we were, huddled in the corner of the classroom, the air thick with tension and fear. The teacher had dimmed the lights, plunging the room into a murky darkness that seemed to swallow us whole. It was supposed to be a routine drill, just another precaution in case the unthinkable happened. But then, amidst the chaos and confusion, I noticed something. A student, crouched in the corner, trembling like a leaf in the wind. Their eyes darted around the room, wide with terror, as if they were being hunted by some unseen force. I approached cautiously, trying not to startle them further. "Hey, are you okay?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The student turned to me, their face pale and drawn like they'd seen a ghost. And that's when they told me, their voice barely above a terrified whisper, that they'd seen something lurking in the shadows, watching their every move. A hooded figure, shrouded in darkness, its eyes gleaming with malice. At first, I brushed it off as just another case of jitters, a figment of an overactive imagination. But then, I caught a glimpse of something in the corner of my eye, a flicker of movement, a silhouette against the darkness. I turned, my heart pounding in my chest, but there was nothing there. Just the empty expanse of the classroom, bathed in an eerie half-light. I tried to convince myself that it was nothing, just a trick of the light, but deep down, I knew better. As the minutes ticked by, the tension in the room grew thicker, suffocating us in its grasp. The teacher tried to reassure us to calm our frayed nerves, but their words fell on deaf ears. We were alone, trapped in a nightmare of our own making. And then, just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, the power went out. The room was plunged into darkness, so thick you could almost taste it. Panic surged through the air like an electric current, sparking fear in the hearts of even the bravest among us. In the darkness, the whispers began, a soft, insistent murmur that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere all at once. They spoke of unspeakable horrors, of things that lurked in the shadows, waiting to claim us as their own. I clutched my phone tightly, its feeble light the only thing standing between me and the encroaching darkness. I could hear the student beside me whimpering, their breath coming in ragged gasps, and then, just as suddenly as it had started, the whispers stopped. The silence was deafening, a heavy blanket that smothered us in its embrace. I dared not move, dared not even breathe, for fear of what lurked in the shadows. Minutes stretched into hours, each one dragging on like an eternity. And then, just when I thought we were safe, I heard it. A soft footstep, barely audible over the pounding of my own heart. I turned, my pulse racing, to see a figure standing in the doorway, a hooded figure, its features obscured by darkness. My blood ran cold as I realized the truth. The student had been right all along. With trembling hands, I reached for the door, praying it was just a nightmare, a trick of the mind. But as I swung it open, the figure vanished into thin air, leaving nothing behind but a chill that lingered long after it was gone. And so, dear friends, if you ever find yourself in the depths of a school lockdown, remember this: beware the shadows, for they may be hiding more than you could ever imagine.